not doing that.
A coffee with, it's going to be a series, which as soon as I figure it out and get it under control will be happening weekly. Today my guest is going to be Martha Rose. She's based in Berlin from London, and as soon as I can find her, we're going to get her in here. Maybe just for one moment I can just say something about Music Pool. I am a Music Pool consultant and one of the co-founders of Music Pool, an office which offers consultancy, workshops, and other formats of community get-togethers and artist meetups and information events for artists, mostly living in Berlin, but okay, now we're going international here. So we give weekly consultations. I usually do every Wednesday. I have colleagues doing it on Fridays, and so if you have questions about anything right now around the music business, you can give us write us an email at Music Pool, and we'll set you up with an appointment. Yeah, I'm looking for Martha Rose. Oh, there she is. I can talk to her now. Hold on one second. I'm going to ask her to join me. So we'll split screen right now, and we'll get into Martha Rose's living room or her bedroom or her kitchen. Hey!
Hi!
It worked. I'm so
Cheers.
sorry. Yes, I have also my coffee prepared also. I've seen a lot of these Instagram talks, and it seems to be kind of the way of doing this. You just got to start off with a little it's kind of like, you have to get to the tape starts running at the right speed. Yeah. That's kind of what's going on here. So yeah, I just gave a little tiny introduction about you, that you are London-born, but now living in Berlin. And one of the reasons we invited you as the first guest because of the new single that you have, Happy Love, that fit perfectly. Like in the office, they're like, yeah, hey, great idea, Melissa. You have to invite Martha. She just put the song out. And so I like, listen to this. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's absolutely where we're starting with. You have been involved with Music Pool before in another aspect as an ambassador for a project that we did together, I think in 2018, with a multi-group. I guess it was three cities, Manchester, Saint-Étienne. Yeah, exactly, in Berlin. And so that was kind of where we, like, as far as Music Pool goes, I think I know you longer, and I was trying to figure out today when the first time that I saw you live, and I have this memory, the clearest memory I have is I think it was Down by the River, but like really early, like one of the very first ones, and it was inside this tent, and I think like on the river, and actually on the river, like in this kind of circus tent.
Was it with was it with a band, a mini band? I believe was so. It the one with a banjo and a girl, Jessica?
I think so. I mean, it's like it's all a little foggy, but I remember.
But the circus tent, I remember, like over, So that must be so long ago,
It was a long time ago. So I was trying to remember the date. I was like, okay, it was 2000 something, but who knows? Like,
Could have been anything like 8, 9, or 10, I think. But one of those. But I can't remember.
But I mean, how long are you in Berlin altogether?
That's the thing, because I moved here officially actually in 2013, but I was studying German, so I came for like an Erasmus year, 2008-9, and I did some music then. That's when I sort of met some people from the music scene, like Sipsy from Down by the River, like Four Track and from Amstadt. And so I did already do some gigs then.
But I thought it could have been at Schokoladen as well.
I think so.
But anyway, we know, I've seen you around and know about your music and you for a long time. So it's also kind of interesting maybe to learn something new about you today, which is because there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But mostly like the idea behind this, like for me to do this is because one, how far away I am from my work that I normally do with Music Pool is kind of very much like talking all the time. Communication's a huge part of it. People asking questions and kind of feeling, and I felt kind of like in the first rather like weeks or almost month of the whole pandemic, very much kind of lost in what my purpose was, because I tried to like, okay, how can I do this? Like, I wanted to find a way to get back and kind of speak and find out like how other people are dealing with things like right now, and especially in my business, in our business, and your maybe first feelings or reactions were in this whole situation.
Yeah, at first, yeah, I also love doing stuff face to face, and I was kind of at the beginning, I was a bit freaked out how everything happened quite quickly, and suddenly all these things were cancelled that I had planned, you know, like, and I also didn't like the idea originally of doing sort of stuff on the internet all the time, and I was also really worried about money, you know, like just the basic existential thing was like, oh my God, because I was working in a bar as well and doing music.
Right, okay,
so everything just like shut down.
Yeah.
And I was really scared. But then luckily that was helped by this EBB sutures thing. But now I'm also, that's why, then I had a kind of nice period of having, I decided to embrace it and accept that I would at least not be under pressure to go out every night, because I was feeling quite busy and sometimes also stressed because I always wanted to support my friends and support musicians and scenes, but then I was sort of going out every night. And
it's easy.
in a way,
Berlin, has that tendency to get lost in that. I've definitely had a lot of years of doing that for sure.
Yeah. So then I was happy to have a little break, you know, and just be at home and be a bit more thoughtful and reflective, and be like, okay, I'm going to write some little demos and think about recording and think about everything properly with time. But yeah, now I have to say it's been very contradictory time, because of course with family and other places too and friends, you know, there was just this general anxious mood as well, which I had sympathy with, and now I feel like it's just always up and down, because now it's sort of coming to things opening again in Berlin, and then the bar opened again, and now I'm sort of like, okay, have to reconfigure everything all the time, it seems, at the moment.
Yeah, but so, I mean, of course we can't go to the shows and stuff again, which we don't know when that's going to happen again. I'm just trying to, I was talking to my colleagues yesterday from Schokoladen, and because been doing shows there since the last 15 years, and we're kind of like all like, okay, it doesn't make sense for us at all to start, even if we are allowed to do some faction of going back for a while, and as long as this distance of 1.5 meters is there, we can fit 10 people in to see a show. That means really financially it's not doable for the bar or for the artists or for anybody. I mean, like, okay, for a very small group of people, it's going to make them very happy to experience something like that. But aside from that, I think that these are probably the things that most people are going through, like how to, like, I mean, that's not a reality. I mean, for me, I kind of wrote it off after that first month, because then I was concerned of not only for myself and putting on shows and having lots of stuff canceled, but also for the artists. I was like, okay, how is that? Like, and when's that ever gonna be the same? And then of course, then the venue, you know, this is like very dear to my heart, and like, is that gonna survive? And then like, you know, somebody else, and I was like, okay, it's like, you know, everyone needs help, and where do I start helping? Like, what is my role, and how much I can't give out more than I have as well, and like trying to figure out how to do all that, I think was very kind of for most people, I think, kind of the conflict right now, what to do with that kind of like energy and stuff.
Yeah, it's really scary for these venues like Schokoladen or loads of my favorite venues in Berlin.
Exactly, the smaller ones.
Yeah, our whole like infrastructure, you know, of all of us, because I think a lot of us, we were doing it in a certain way anyway, you know, and this is like, it's hard to know. I don't think any of us have so many sort of huge resources now to pay for things or something, you know. But,
well, I mean, like, in one sense, I feel like, okay, I've been set up for something like this my whole life. For all of a sudden, like, everything dropping out, the boat falls out. It's like, okay, it's like that sink and swim, and like we've always, I think, as creative people, we've like have had to struggle in general for everything that we're doing, and every penny and every space, and as well as these venues. I think they're very much like also living as month to month, and they're not like, it's not, that's not the goal anyway. It's more to keep the space open and for it to be able to create something else rather than be an kind of more business for profit, I think. And so we see that a lot, I think. And then also for artists, and also having to change. But I mean, of course, we have to exist. We have to feed ourselves. We have to. And if you were not one of those lucky ones that received the funding from Berlin, which was just the Berlin money, then, you know, for a lot of people that has been, and it continues to be problematic. And I understand that's like difficult to figure out like what we're, you know, what's the next moves on top of also thinking about like creativity. And I guess that's where I would be interested from your side. Like, how did you like creatively find yourself again? Also, like, I didn't know, because I was not unsure about if the album was made still during this period, or you had already finished it and now we're doing like this post-production when I after the single and came out and the video and stuff. So where are you right now as far as that goes, and like how was the process, I would say?
I've been really lucky in many ways, like I'm super lucky that we actually had just sort of finished the album and we were just planning for this sort of post-production stage. So we were just making plans for music videos and singles and everything just before Corona happened. And I'm really happy. I flew to England in February to make a music video for Keep Apart, the second single that we brought out like last week. And I flew back, and then like, you know, a few days later it started kicking off. So that was just, it was good timing for me in a way then. But
did you get to see your family as well before that?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, good.
And actually my auntie and my cousin and my mom came to Berlin shortly before too. So it was really, we were just somehow lucky that we did that, because otherwise it would have been, a
long time.
But with the album also, it's funny because we've been working on it for years, and I know a lot of people now are struggling to sort of decide whether to release stuff now or wait or what to do. And I think it's quite a big, but for me, I think for me and my bandmates, it was kind of clear that we were like really ready to go now. And we were like, it's great to show people the videos. Actually, during this period has been kind of fun to bring out. I feel like I had a lot of stuff in the oven, and it's been actually positive to bring it out now, because of course we can't play, but it's been really nice to share like the visual and the audio recording side of things in a special way, you know, because I feel like now that we can't play live, people are, it's just fun to be like, but here's a video, or listen to the production and enjoy the recording. And that made me actually feel extremely lucky that I'm in that position, and my colleagues and my bandmates and everybody's been really helpful, and we've been emailing each other all the time about it. You know,
was it less stressful in the sense of like having like what a normal process is of whatever normal is, to put out an album, like, okay, making sure you've got like some press lined up, or some like, aside from like, you know, obviously the touring helps, that all of that, but like, you know, getting that one, okay, who's gonna really, is somebody gonna release this video that I've just spent, you know, whatever on or whatever. So this is like, I think maybe in this time period you can say, is there like a plus that maybe we can take to the next step when we're thinking about like releasing something? Is that like helpful, or was it kind of like you just said, I don't worry about it, just putting it out in the way I can and with my means that I have now?
I think I'm also quite an accepting person. I think I just accepted that this is a situation, and to be honest, I just put the booking stuff on hold, but the rest of it I just accepted, and I've decided to make the best of it that I can, you know. And
I think this is a good topic that we're speaking of, just about like, as far as the music, like of people releasing and having the fear of releasing and whatnot. I mean, I guess when people have asked me that, I feel like I'm like also maybe in the same thinking that you are right now, that I think that that I wouldn't wait or hesitate to do it, especially when you know that you're ready and you've been sitting on it, and you know that, like, you know, it's like that giving birth process, and you want to, like, you know, get it out there, and it's not like somebody's going to say, if we can't play live shows until, October, November, December, who even knows, until January or 2021, who knows, that they're going to say, okay, that album's too old now. Like, you can't go on, you can't promote that album now. I mean, I think that we have to give ourselves this, like, we appeared, everyone's going to be inside that same space together, but like, really, like, that's what we need. I think maybe as healing also is just to share what we've made, and this, like, and be proud of it, and being like, okay, I've got, like, maybe I can do it in a different way without, like, sitting there biting my, nails. Like, is anybody going to listen? Am I going to have, like, any, how many clicks on my video? And, like, all the things that people, and all the social media, like, push, like, right now you can maybe take a little bit of a different, like, route to doing that again, and maybe think about how we can make it healthier in the future, because I think it has sometimes built up to be quite, like, we're somehow still in between. The way that albums are put out usually isn't that same kind of structure and way that things were always done, which I don't know, it doesn't really work, I think, in the world that we are now living in general.
It seems
the
very
pace
different
of things.
anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's there was a guy, I can't know, I'm like mad I don't have his name at the tip of my head, but I was at the Ment Festival this year, and he was talking about, he's a actually like an agency, and he was talking about his artists, and and them going on the road and touring and stuff. So it was kind of right before also all this happened. So I was like I think I was there in February, and he's like, well, I don't understand why now the artists always have to wait. It's like this waiting is kind of killing some aspect of it. Like, if the stuff is ready, why should they have to sit on it? Like, why can't they say, okay, like, I'm ready to put my artists out there. Like, let's go. Let's just get them out there on the road and put their stuff out there if they're ready. And the same thing this way. Okay, you can't travel, but, like, if you're ready to go, like, and you feel like it's, especially if you worked on it, like you said, you like, sometimes years, whether it's months, years, whatever it is, it's like a process, and it's like, okay, I've been impregnated with all this music and these sounds and these, like, words and everything, and now I just want to, like, get it out there and share it. So I think that's like, I would also recommend to people to not, like, wait and kind of settle on structures, which right now we should just say fuck it right now. And,
I
like,
think
give us some joy, give us some joy to listen to the music and to share it with other people, and maybe let's do something else. Because anyway, I'm thinking of, like, okay, what are we gonna do next? Like, my head's already in, like, okay, future, like, okay, let's take this, people, because we have a chance right now to be quiet and think about what we're gonna do, especially if you're coming from small scenes like that we're working in. And I want to stay there, but I also find a way how to support from these smaller scenes to, like, as the artist grows to the next stages. Like, I think things can be done in different ways, and I don't have all the answers as well. And I'd like to, like, I think that's something that people have to come to, like, to the table together, like the artist together with the people on the business side, and, like, really speak about those kind of things, and what would make everyone somehow, would make it more, I think, lasting, and in the end, that everybody gets a part of the pie, because we're all struggling to catch that too, but maybe it gets distributed a little nicer next time. We'll see.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask about? Also, maybe about this, because I mean, I think I cut you maybe about, like, you were, because when I wrote you last time, you were in the studio actually with some, then I didn't realize if it was your album, it was, like, actually somebody else's. So you're actually still
I can't remember.
But you were, I mean, it was, it's the first time I asked you, like, oh yeah, I'm in the studio right now, I'm working but on somebody else's album. Is there still a lot going on right now, like, behind the scenes? Are people still trying to, like, get things done and do it in micro spaces, or how is it, like? I mean, because I think I have been pretty far away right now from everybody, except for the people that I have been speaking with online. But it'll be interesting to see, like, how is the scene? Are you guys in like embracing it more and even trying to do more, like help each other out, or is it still some feeling of like reluctancy to kind of like meet up and do things in the same spaces and stuff like that?
I mean, in my tiny microcosm, I was quite lucky that I had a few sort of one-on-one projects of like recording and stuff. That's been really cool because I feel like most musicians I know have been pretty determined to try and use the time to make music at home, you know, or like think about planning at least, and not even necessarily recording. But yeah, I was really lucky. I've been working, so I did some studio recording for a video game,
Oh
which
yeah,
was
cool.
but that was a violin.
Okay.
For this guy who a friend of a friend put me in touch with, and that was also like this sort of one-off weird job thing. But I was like, oh yeah, I'll
It's a
do
job.
it.
It's a job.
Yeah. But also one of my favorite things has been to work with a friend of mine. This project CV Vision, and he's making a new album at home. He's got like a home studio, and I was also playing flute and violin. So now I started going there and like doing some bits of recording, and that's been like a complete like joy because I think I would have been pretty depressed to have nothing to do except for sit on my own with my Casio keyboard, like,
but with
which
your
is
own,
what I
with
do
own
anyway.
materials,
but it's been like gently coming back into play to like do mini collaborations, and I think within our microcosmos, I'm sure all over the world there are many secret projects cooking right now, you know.
Yeah,
Because I feel
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
everybody's got like one best friend who they're gonna meet with and start working with or something, you know, in the artistic world, I think, and that's really exciting to see what happens. But
yeah, that's true. I like the idea of
yeah,
that, kind of like the secret. Yeah.
because of course I haven't been to any band practices or any sort of
Yeah,
normal structural
yeah,
musical things, but yeah, this kind of secret recording projects is like a real blessing. So
yeah. Because I mean, so you can
yeah,
send files back and forth, and you
yeah,
can kind of
and I've
discuss
also
like this anyway, Skype each other and
yeah, I did
whatnot.
also.
Yeah.
I sent some vocals to my friend for his new album too
Oh,
and stuff,
cool.
and just recorded it on my laptop, like, which has been really good. Like, I also noticed in general, it's been forcing people to embrace technology they didn't used to embrace. Like,
It's a really good point.
I was really reluctant to record myself alone at home because I was afraid. I was very like afraid that I'm not good at it or something, you know.
So you were
Stupid.
never this kind of like as soon as the garage band got there, like, okay,
I
garage
wish,
band.
I wish I was. I feel like I'm exactly like someone who would do that, but I don't do it in that way. It's stupid. I don't know. I was always kind of like, I also just love collaborating and love playing with people, but
Yeah.
and I also was just afraid, I think, of like literally just my computer's old and it always crashes and it's just a bit of a nightmare and I don't really know what I'm doing. But now I've been forcing myself to get a tiny bit better, you know, like I'm still learning, but yeah, and I think you know, I've just noticed like us doing this now and stuff. It's cool to embrace these new sort of technological things and try and improve your skills with that stuff, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I've definitely like the first thing I did was like, okay, how to get myself ready for however long, so that I can continue the work I love to do, to communicate with people, to create things again, too, like whether that's going to be through recording conversations, talks, by doing like podcasts, learning about podcasting, like, because I really love to hear all this stuff. I was like, okay, how can I also, you know, also pump up my own like skill set? Because I think that is kind of like what probably everyone's had to do. I know how many trial and error and all the projects that I've worked in that we've like trying to find out what's the right format for this, and like, you know, and there's been a lot of funny mistakes that we've made. And at first I was kind of repressed. I was like, okay, like we got to just hire somebody that knows what they're doing. And I thought, and it was like, one, we can afford it, and two, like, you know, we're going to learn it and it's okay. And everybody else is doing the same thing. And then I remember like Albertine, like I wrote that. I was like, oh, she's like, yeah, but she likes that because it's human. And it is true. Like we're like actually all having to like, you know, rethink and redefine and think about what do we want to do and how do we do it in this certain like bubble that we're now put inside, and for who knows how long. So yeah, like this, like learning new things is kind of cool for an old dog like me. So but it's fun, and I like that. Also thinking about new formats for doing things. And I have to agree, like I have trouble with finding like the best way that to see this kind of way music can come over through like more of this kind of live stuff. I mean, but we're trying it, and I think I've seen a couple that have worked, and I think that it's a lot up to do the technology if it actually is stable enough for you to kind of like, because if the internet's not good, then a lot of times it's kind of staggering. It's different if you have a conversation like that, or if you have somebody music and being intimate with you.
And this seems great. Or if you just play acoustic guitar or something, it's also fun, I think.
Yeah.
But for like a real band setup or for a really cool recording thing or something, it seems difficult still to
I mean, I think about like, okay, tiny desks or something that always works, and that always you somehow get the emotion across from there. So it's possible. I think you just have to have a pretty good tech and recording for that, like to go over. And so we're doing that also. Like right today, my colleagues from Torschassen Festival are at the Folksbiene right now, and we're getting stuff out there. And it's kind of like, oh, how is it like, like normally we have like all this, you feel like you try to have so much control to make something the way that you have it in your head, but it's like you can't, everything has to be left to how it happens. It's kind of like, okay, let's just like, we're winging it, and I think it's okay, because I think we will learn to actually appreciate a lot of stuff much more that we know, and know how we want it, and say, okay, that's my standard or whatever. But also emotionally to get into like like this kind of online interaction with people. I have to say, like, it is easier for me to do because I've been watching a lot of other people doing this as well, but like it's easier to do it and communicate that way than not, like to not be communicate with people, because that felt much worse. And although I know, like for some of the musicians I spoke with, I was talking to some young singer-songwriters a while ago, and they were very like felt it so hard to give into that space, like by being authentic, and to feel like they were able to kind of like, do a show, and to feel like the audience is some kind of invisible people out there that you try to imagine, but you can't hear them, you can't, get the real feedback. But I think that it's just something we're going through, and we have to see how it ends up being. For everyone is different as well, how and what they need at the time. And I think what I have to think about now is like how, because it's like I think that people are not set up right now to think about like I mean, there are people that are trying to do it to monetize this sort of a format. But it's like difficult when the internet has always been mostly for free. But if you start making everything to be payable, like it's kind of the subscription lifestyle, which I already realized that I have in some respect, aside from Netflix, but like, the news sources that I want I pay for, and like this, and then it's like, okay, that on top of that. And I try to like keep it really to a minimum. But that's the question, like how long before the sharks are jumping on there, and then we have nothing we can do without like, just like we are now, just talking and not having somebody else has to pay for to like just listen to us talk, it's kind of
and I realized if you make everything subscription, it's also then you're paying for all these different subscriptions. It's kind of overwhelming as well in the end, like. And like even everything online now, if everything is monetized, it's also kind of a bit depressing in this other way, even though I want us to like have income, of course. But
for sure. But I think that, like, I mean, I don't know how I've been doing it, and I found it to be the healthiest way I know how to do it with the money that I have is like, because I've also saved a lot of money by not going out to work every day. I don't buy lunches all the time. I don't take the train. I don't buy the coffees, here and there. So I have actually saved money, I would say, by not doing that. On the other hand, I think about like, okay, how much can I give out like to this and that? So whether it's some kind of like cause, whatever, like, okay, can I give them 5 to 10 euros, or, you know, like these Bandcamp days, I've been really like conscious of like going in there and finding, and like trying to find, like on some days I spread it out over more artists, and some days I just do like the ones, and I say, okay, I buy the whole album on that one and this one, and I can only buy then 2, rather than like last time I did like almost 8 10 artists finding that I wanted to support, because they were also supporting also other people on top of that. So it was kind of like an interesting chain. But I think like we can all like think about like that kind of stuff. There's, aside from the people that really like, obviously there's people out there that cannot do that and need support, and it's good to find out about how we can do that as well. I'm hoping that the help that's coming or that will or will not come, will be doing that, make itself more available, and soon that we can figure out how to help the artists that are really struggling, because there's so many in-betweens. There's people that are like stuck here that can't go home yet. There's the people that are like without proper visas. There's people that are really like kind of in situations which are worse, much worse than just like the money that I've lost on not being able to like do my job. Like, so, I mean, and I'm also in a different situation, and I know how privileged that is also, that I'm not alone. I mean, I have a family to take care of as well, but I don't have to go through it alone. And some people have been doing this alone, which is really hard to also hear. And speaking with some people, they're like kind of like, oh, everything okay? Like what, you know, like I have one of my colleagues, she's we have weekly talk, and we're just like, okay, like, you know, we're trying to like, oh, she's like, I want to high five you or hug you so much, like, you know, through the road, like she's like literally by herself, and she has, you know,
it's really hard.
She doesn't want to risk, because she's also in a risk group. She doesn't want to really go out so much, so we can't even meet. It was like, okay, maybe you can go to my garden. She's like, no, I just don't even feel safe there. And you have to respect these kind of like borders that people have. I mean, I've also like, now I'm getting a little bit more loosened up, but I also realized I'm getting in that zone with my head, because I was like, I have my kids, and we're here in the garden with like a few other families that also have kids, and I can't now expose other people to what my lifestyle is, because my husband's a doctor, so he was always going every day to the hospital. And although there was not anything going on there directly that seemed in danger, but you didn't know. So it was kind of like this invisible kind of like, you know, what's happening. And so we're kind of like, we've been in that bubble, literally like, kind of like, even to the store, I was like, I wasn't going because he was going out and would go to the store. I didn't have to even do shopping. And that really like gave me like such a like island to be on. And it was very privileged, I felt, and I feel still. But now I'm starting to go out a little bit more, and I feel like a little bit freer, a little bit more opened up. But I still am very conservative when it comes to gatherings. I didn't go to any of the demos, unfortunately, because I really, that's too much for me, and especially with my kid, I didn't want to do that. But yeah, that's also like probably from a lot of the artists out there right now. Also, this on top of everything else we've been dealing with now, to like see what's been happening. And for me, like seeing it in the States and not being there, that was like really like, oh, now I want to go. I need to go there. Like I need to be on the streets.
That must be hard from being from the States as well. But I mean, it's good that it's highlighting it in every country.
Yeah,
there are
it's
problems,
beautiful,
but
the
of course,
turnout here and what people have been doing.
But of course, it's even more extreme for you if you come from this place and now you can't be there.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
see your
saw
friends
that in
and
London
family.
as well. Like,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
there's a lot. I mean, definitely they have a big problem of racism in London for sure, or in England in general. That's why we wouldn't have Brexit right now. So it's like you've got like the layers, the double layers. You got Brexit, you have like pandemic, and then we have like, you know, and it's like these layers and layers.
Like, I forgot about Brexit.
You forgot about Brexit. Yeah, you just didn't realize your shoulders are really heavy.
They're really fun.
Yeah.
But no, it's good. Like, I always thought for a long time that they should teach more about colonialism in school. You know, like I grew up in England in the 90s, and like they didn't even tell us. We learned nothing in history about colonialism. We just learned about like World War II, you know, and how great it was, and that's what the Brexiteers are still harping back to. Which is why I made a step to come here and learn German, to try and diffuse the notion that anyone speaking German sounds like an aggressive Nazi, you know.
Yeah.
So that was one thing. But now, yeah, with colonialism, like I'm glad, like in Bristol, you know, that they pulled down
That
the
was
statue.
wonderful.
But
Yeah.
but it's like England, the education system really has to show, like, not just to be proud of its past, but it's ridiculous. Like they just act like everything was great, and it's really bad. So that's my personal take on the English thing, that we really need to learn what exactly colonialism was and how it happened and how it should not happen. And yeah.
I think that's everywhere. I mean, like the same in Germany. The same in Germany has a lot to do with colonialism.
Yeah.
In America, of course, slavery. And I mean, so many countries. There's not many countries that have any sort of power at the moment that have not had experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Even countries that are, you know, dealing with their own, what they did to their own people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like really. That's why I think that this has to be like a worldwide revolution, and not only it's good that we have like some beginnings and some lessons had, but like you said, like the education system in most places they're not, that's something that they want to hide under the rug, because it's obviously not so great. And I think this is like, education is always the best place to start, because I mean, what we wouldn't have that structural racism if indeed that's one aspect of it, education.
And if the structure of education in schools was different, then it wouldn't be so deeply interred in people's minds before they even can think for themselves, you know.
Yeah, it's in everything. It's in the language that we use, and it's in the holidays we celebrate, and the statues which are around us, and the way that,
and the street names and everything, you know. So,
exactly. Things that like people are like don't take into their consciousness, and also a lot of, like, I find of age with age, like a lot of people think that they can't change, and that's the way things have been, and therefore it's like they understand that there's like, maybe that's not so right, but it's like, okay, I'm sorry, I made a mistake or whatever. It's like, and I think about like all the things that we have to learn, like we're always constantly have to learn, like I always feel like we have to constantly learn. And I think we can't like give that, like, as like you having so many excuses towards especially when we're dealing with these issues that we cannot change as people or society or whatever.
One should always be open to learning, and also accept that you don't know stuff, you know. Like I feel like the most intelligent way to be is to sort of accept that you don't know things, and you just have to kind of constantly relearn. And even if you thought you knew something, you probably didn't really, you know. Like
it was taught to you the wrong way, for God's sakes. With the books were telling you the wrong things.
You just gotta like stay open to continuing.
I know.
But it's definitely been a very intense time, you know, like very emotional. For everybody.
Exactly. Like trying to like every day to kind of like take a step like out, like, okay, like open up the like to be more and more, think about positive things, the things that I can do. And I think this is like what I think I would recommend to every person out there that's like really struggling, is just find one thing that they can be positive about, whatever it is. If it's just like, okay, there's light today, or there's a bird singing and it gives me a feeling, or I make something nice to eat, or little things, to like talking on the phone to a friend, or to just watching other people talk and trying to relate to what they're saying, and reading stuff which makes you happy, and listening to music, of course, that make you happy. And this is kind of really, I have to admit, I have been, was not listening to a lot of music during most of the first 2 months. And now I'm just starting again to really enjoying listening to music, like also by myself. And then I'm going outside. If I'm outside often with my kid, just because I can't be inside anymore. I'm like, so I'm just like sitting outside in the garden with my headphones on, and they're running around, and I'm just like, okay, I listen to that song. And then like, again, that's kind of what I've been using the Bandcamp dives to do that, or if somebody sends a link or I see a new video of somebody, to kind of like think about like, okay, get myself back into that way of thinking, because it was so much a part of like so much a part of my life, from every my working methods to like who the people that I was talking to, the artists, to thinking of all this stuff. And then I kind of like shut it all off because I felt like, okay, it's too, maybe it was too like emotional for me. And I was like, in my mind, subconsciously, I just kind of decided that was going to be like that. I mean, it was like for us at home, because my husband's also like very like missing culture so much, and you know, he also was somebody who's going to the Philharmonie and the opera a lot as well, and we would just sit there and go, oh, that was supposed to be tonight, and like we would start getting misty-eyed at the dinner table, and then we would like, okay, then like suck it back under and like kind of like, okay, well, this is really good.
It was really sad about some stuff too, but in the end, just like, I also find music so emotional, and I also sometimes I can't listen to music if I'm really sad because it's like too much. But you know, recently I've been listening to a lot as well, actually, to get inspired. You know, like a whole bunch of stuff.
I'm dipping on through from very new stuff to very like nostalgic stuff to really funny, kind of making funny playlists and just like doing it for myself, which is fun too. Good. So I don't want to, as we like, I kind of thought we'd like 45 minutes, and we've already I've gone a little bit over that.
Wow.
But I want to thank you for being my first guest, and for Music Pool, because we're really happy that you also took part in our projects, and where maybe I will post we will at Music Pool post your video, and any link, maybe you want your Bandcamp link, or what would you prefer to your new music, your album? You have 2 new videos, right?
So I've got 2 singles out at the moment. So maybe one of those.
Well, you can tell me. You choose.
I can send you.
What you want us to put out, and
I guess maybe the latest one.
Yeah, exactly.
Is Keep Apart, the one that I made in England just before escaping Corona.
Is there that vibe going in there? Is there
it's kind of like a seaside mermaid, mystical, occult vibe.
Okay, good. Sounds wonderful. Thank you very much. And
thank you for having me.
I hope that we see each other live somewhere soon. If not, then we'll be definitely in touch in other ways. And I'm sure that, I know that it's not going to go on forever. And thank you for your music. Thank you for your time. And have a really nice day. Okay.
Yeah, thank you too. Send my love to the Music Pool team.
Yeah, definitely. Bye-bye. Bye.
Nice to see you.